Hello there, thank you for visiting Hartshorn Photo and Design. Normally my work consists of photos, but today I'm presenting my latest PC build. It's a chance to work with video and possibly help anyone else out there in their PC build. I'll be putting the following components together, some new, some old. Okay, a couple of things survived my last build. The HD storage for my games and 32 gigabytes of RAM. The motherboard is the Asus TUF Gaming B550 Pro. The tower is an Asus TUF Gaming B301. The CPU is AMD Ryzen 5 5500, 3.6 gigahertz. GPU is MSI Geforce RTX 3060, 12 gigabyte. Boot hard drive, Corsair Force MP600 M2.2, 2280. Is the length, and then it's an SSD 1 terabyte. That is a PCI 4, and the CPU is a PCI 3, but it turns out it still works. And there is a slot on the motherboard for the boot hard drive for a 4. For games, it's going to be the Seagate Barricuda 2 terabyte that runs at 7200 RPMs, and for RAM, 8 gigabytes, 4 of them. For 32 gigabytes total of Corsair Vengence LPX 3200 megahertz. Alright, just want to do a little video on my rig. This is a second build, kind of pieced together off an older build. I think most of it's going to end up being replaced though, except for the RAM. So I had an old power supply, and I believe that failed. And I kind of freaked out and thought it was something else, and ended up selling off. Like I had a 2070 RTX 2070. I sold off. Throughout the motherboard, I figured that was toast, and the processor, which is just kind of stupid because it was probably just the power supply. I tried the old power supply in this rig, and it kind of did the same thing where it would motherboard light would come on, hit the power button, give a brief surge, and then just nothing. The way I could tell on this one was hitting the light, and there's right back there is a RGB light for the motherboard that glows, and that you could see it reset real quick, and then just went back to doing the strobe or flow it was doing. But I have here a TUF Gaming GT301 case. Kind of was wanting to do that because I got the TUF Gaming motherboard 550 Pro. One of the things with cases is connecting the power switches and stuff that kind of can be a pain in the butt, and it's really hard to see back there. We're looking at all the way down here. It'd be nice if a motherboard and a rig could just have one piece that just plugged in, but it's not that simple. And then I went with a RTX 3060. It's 12 gigabyte. I figured it's probably got better, similar or better performance than the 2070. That was a 8 gigabyte OC Asus Strix that I had sold to a young gentleman that probably is getting great use out of it right now. Upgraded to a Ryzen 5 5500. I believe in my last rig I had the 2600G. I'd have to double check on that. But now I'm just waiting on a replacement PSU, and I'm going to hook it up and hopefully everything works. So one of the issues I came across trying to put the power supply in is not a whole lot of space down here in the GT301 TUF Gaming Asus TUF Gaming case. This is where you would install your SATA drives. I do have a pretty decent one of those Barricuda Seagate ones, 2 gigabyte or 2 terabyte, that I wanted to store my games on, but what I'm going to end up with now is a half gig for boot, and then a 1 gig for storing files like games and stuff, basically, and programs. we'll see with this new, I don't think I'll have enough room, but basically you can see I've got about 7 inches after this is installed, and the way the cables jut out and bend, there's no way. I mean, it'd just be putting pressure on wires. It just isn't a good idea. All right, opening up the Corsair RM1000X. It's a 80 plus gold. Bunch of those things. Came with its own screws. Tons of cables. Power cord. And the box itself. Alright. Exciting. Safety information. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is screw this in. I'm going to put it upside down. The case doesn't have venting, if that's a good view or not, but putting it up basically would just be going up against a plate that's, you know, right next to the motherboard and GPU. Alright, so far so good. It's upside down, as you can see by the lettering. The screws actually were aligned perfectly for this, so it's one thing to think about. And now I will start putting the cables together. What I have here is the main motherboard, the 24 pin. I believe this is another motherboard one I might use. Also I have ones like these, because there's this section of the motherboard right back here. You can see that okay. And then of course those pins on the graphics card. Alright, and all that's labeled back there. I would advise figuring out which cables you're going to use, put them in first, and then putting it in the box and screwing it in, but you know, I like to do things backwards. Okay, so cable management, I'm just going to leave it alone. Did come with, you know, enough twisty ties to kind of keep things out of the way, but I don't really plan to mess with this much more. I mean, basically I want to just use it for what it is, and if I do upgrade, it's going to be a whole new computer, because it's, you know, going to be a bigger processor and things like that, most likely. Bring it around to the front. Note on this, make sure it says PCI, because the one that says CPU does not fit in there. Also ran across similar. Oh no, it's thin. Okay, but yeah, the one that, there's two cables that say CPU. Go with the one that says PCI for the card. CPU is the one that would go up there. And of course you got the 24 pin connector there, and it has a lot more wires on the other end. Alright, and another thing I'm discovering is the connector has two different widths on the little clamp holding it in. So this one goes into the power supply, this side, and the wider one, obviously you just look at what you're going to connect to your motherboard. Alright, reading up on it, it looks like the 8-pin connector might be enough. Let's get you a closer look here if I can. Let me turn the light on here. There we go. Oops, which way am I going here? Oh, there we go. So we're going to leave that basically just as is. I wish I had something to plug it up just for dust issues, but and then get a hook up that one. And also wanted to point out that this assortment of cables for the fans and lighting has its own SATA cable. This is what's wired to it right now. That's my own harness, so I'm gonna use a little something different on it. All right. Well, I missed the magic moment of this powering up for the first time, but you can see it's definitely was a power supply issue. I have a little orange light there, and I don't have anything coming up on the screen yet, but that might just be because I am in the wrong HDMI. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll probably have to look it up, see why. Probably have to look it up, see why it's not going as well.
Oh, you don't know what you're doing, all the mean things that you're doing. Oh, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing to me.
It's working. You know, I guess still gotta install Windows and everything, but it's working. All right, this is the final clip here. Just wanted to show off the final build and showing how I got everything installed. Windows. I've got the entire Adobe Creative Suite. Basically, this is what we're looking at. I haven't really done anything fancy with the lights, just orange. It is set up so you can do the Asus collaboration or whatever, but not going to go that far. Even put stickers on, signify that I'm done with it. You can see where I put my 2 terabyte disk is just hanging out there because I didn't have any space. I might go back later and see if I can screw it into this this slot here. That's like right, where's my finger? Right there. But I don't know, pretty happy. Everything's running really smooth. Haven't had any issues. Threw on Fallout 76 in ultra settings just to see how well the graphics do, and honestly it's running better than my last build, so pretty happy. I think the end story here is just don't throw anything away or sell anything until you know exactly what's going on with your computer.